Okay, this video is about percent questions. This is not percent change. If you want to watch percent change, that's a different video. Okay, these just have to do with how to find percent of a number, or when they give you a percent, how to find what that number is. Okay, so the general formula that we've been talking about is if you have a percent given to you, that's going to go over 100, and then it will equal the part over the whole. Okay, the key word here is when it says of. So when you see of some number, that's generally going to be on the bottom of this fraction. Remember, these are going to be equivalent fractions, just like proportions that we saw before. And so you can look at the relationship of the fractions and try to figure it out, or you can cross multiply and solve that way. Okay, so here are your questions. You can copy those down, and we're going to try a couple of them. So pause the video if you need to, or you just pause them one at a time right before we try it. Alright, so let's move on. 10% of 700 is what number? Well, as I said before, it's the percent over 100. So in this case, it's 10 over 100 equals the part over the whole, or equals the is over the of, is what some teachers would say. So it's of 700. That's a key word. And so that means 700 is going to be on the bottom. What is that number is our goal. Figure out that number. If you look closely, you can probably see the relationship. Remember, these are equivalent fractions. So if I times this by 7, I get 700. I can times this by 7 and get 70. My answer is going to be 70. If that doesn't make sense, you can cross multiply. You get 7,000. Cross multiply this way. You get 100x. Divide by 100, and x will be 70. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Pause if you need to. Okay, so once again, percent over 100. In this case, the percent is 6. So 6 over 100. It will equal something of 50. Okay, it's the same idea. The other one is just reworded. It's just in a different order. The question's in a different order. That's the same idea as the last one. So you could times this, or I'm sorry, divide this by 2. It's always multiply or divide. It's never add or subtract. So you could divide this by 2 and you get 50. That means you should divide this one by 2 and you get 3. The answer is x is 3. If that doesn't make sense, you can cross multiply. 6 times 50 is 300. And then multiply the other direction. 100x. Okay, and divide by 100. You'll get x equals 3. Alright, let's move on. What percent of 20 is 18? So, what percent? You don't know the percent that's going to go over 100 this time. Of 20. Of is your keyword again, so that's going to be on the bottom. Is 18, so that's going to be on the top. Look at the relationship of the numbers if you want to. So equivalent fractions, if you took this and divided it by 5, you get 20. So that means some number divided by 5 will be 18. Okay, or you can do the opposite. If you took this and multiplied by 5, 20 times 5 is this, so 18 times 5 is going to be your answer. 18 times 5, I think, is 90, so it's probably 90. But say that doesn't make sense, you can cross multiply. 20x. It will equal, when I multiply the other directions, 18 times 100, which is 1800. Okay, so there's your green, 1800, there's a black one. 20x, now divide. Divide by 20. Divide by 20. X is going to be 90. Let me go back, because the question says what percent. So I need to be sure to write 90% in this one. The other questions, they don't say percent. They tell you the percent. So this is just the number 3. Make sure you write percent like in this one if you need to. 12 is what percent? Once again, we don't know the percent. Something over 100 is equal to 12 over 120. Here's your key word, of 120. We don't know the percent. Okay. You can cross multiply. If you can smart enough to figure out the relationship between these numbers, you can go ahead and do that. Cross multiply, that's 120x. Cross multiply this direction, that's 1200. Divide by your 120. And the answer should be 10, I believe. What percent? Make sure you put 10%. Okay. If you looked at the relationship up and down instead of side to side, you might be able to figure this out. Okay, 12 times 10 would give you this number. 10 times 10 is going to be this number. So they're both times by 10. X would be 10 also. So there's a lot of 10s there. Sorry if it's confusing. 6 is 100. Well, let me pause. I forgot to give you space on the last one too. So pause it if you need to. Okay. 120% is in a different order. The question's worded in a different order. Did that on purpose. 120%, which means out of 100%, means out of 100. That's what that word literally means. Per, out of, and cent 100. Okay, equals to 60. And I know that the of what number is x? Of tells me it goes on the bottom. There you go. You haven't had one with x on the bottom yet. You can look at the relationship side to side. Maybe you notice a pattern there, or if you can figure out one up and down, that's great. And try and match it the same way up and down. I noticed right away that this is, take this one times by 2, and I got 120. So it's going to be some number times by 2 that would give me 100. Or this divided by 2 gives you 60, so this divided by 2 would be 50. The answer is going to be 50. But if that doesn't make sense, you can't do the shortcut. Let's multiply 120x. Equals, when you multiply the other direction, 60 times 100, which is going to be 6,000. Divide by your 120. Okay. And like I said, the answer is going to be 50. Punch in a calculator, double check that, but pretty sure. 6,000. Divided by 120. Voila. Couple more left. Pause if you need to. What number is 25%? 25 out of 100 equals something of 200. Okay. Cross multiply. 25 times 200 is 5,000. Multiply the other direction. You've got 100 x. Sorry. Divide by your 100, and you should get 50 again. Okay, maybe you recognize the relationship from side to side. Take this times 2 and you get that. So take this times 2 and you get 50. Maybe you recognize the relationship up and down. This times 4 would be 100. So something times 4 would give you 200. That something has to be 50. Last one, I think. Yeah. Sorry about that. Pause if you need to. Okay, so it's worded a little bit different again, but here's your 30% of what number? That goes on the bottom. And so the only thing left is the 70 to put on top. Cross multiply. 30x equals, when you multiply the other direction, 7,000. Divide by 30 and you have your answer. Okay, so x equals whatever this thing is. I don't know what that is, so 7,000 divided by 30. There's going to be some decimal. Okay. This is some numbers, not a percent. Make sure you don't put percent sign. 233.3 with a line over it to show that it repeats. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully that helps. Thanks.